What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And little Brian Stelter is back again. He's teamed up with some of the other commentators on YouTube. I mean, not on YouTube, but on CNN. And they're trying to now run interference for the FBI and their whole handling of the investigation against the president, and also debunk the whole idea that Ukraine had a part to play in this whole interference with our election, as well as Russia. See, because what they're trying to do is conflate both of the issues. They're trying to make it seem like when Trump brings up Ukraine, or any of the Republicans bring it up, they're trying to substitute Ukraine with Russia. They're trying to say Russia had nothing to do with it. They didn't make any efforts. And y'all shouldn't listen to our intelligence agencies because everything was done by Ukraine. Whereas anybody who has two brain cells floating around in a dome would realize that you can have both of those happening. There might have been multiple actors that didn't want President Trump to win. And frankly, I understand why. If I'm China and I'm being dug into by these tariffs, I don't want him to win. If I'm Russia and he's supplying my enemies with real weapons and not blankets, I wouldn't want him to win either. If I'm some of these European countries and he's saying you got to pay your fair share, I wouldn't want him to win. I would like things to stay just like they are. Status quo, keep the money coming with no accountability. Let us continue to act a fool all over the world without fear that America's going to put their foot up our butts. So don't act like that it was only Russia when you have Ukraine participating in that too, like Alexandria Smirnov, I don't know what her name was, Chalupa. Her, she the one that went to the embassy of Ukraine and got some dirt on Paul Manafort that jump-started a lot of this mess anyway. So you're telling me the embassy is just freestyling? They ain't getting no orders from the leadership of Ukraine to give over that information? Huh? I think that's trying to interfere and sway the election. I don't know about you. Maybe since the Democrats are so immune to garbage and dealings like that and being underhanded, they didn't recognize that. They see that as perfect transaction. So when Trump brings it up, they tried to downplay it. And because it's a hot topic and they're trying to impeach him based off of this phone call to the Ukrainian president, CNN, MSNBC, and the rest of them now have to say, we have to discredit this whole idea that Ukraine possibly was involved in this as well. Because see, if that comes out, that would justify Trump saying Ukraine is corrupt. I need to make sure that the corruption is nixed, okay? And I also need to make sure that before we give over weapons and money to these people, that they are looking into and acutely aware of corruption in their country, thus including Hunter Biden and Joe, sleepy, slimy, creepy, sloppy, okay? So now you got little Brian Stelter on this show trying to undermine that theory and also throw mud on any of the surrogates or supporters of the president to make them look like they're not a credible source. All right, let's listen to a little bit of this. And action.
Okay, now to the next conspiracy theory that's being peddled, and that is, as you know, the president and some of his supporters on Congress are trying to conflate what Russia did in terms of the wide-scale, top-down, Kremlin-supported interference in the 2016 election, and an op-ed from a former Ukrainian ambassador where they were concerned about candidate Donald Trump.
Now, notice she left out Alexandria Chalupa. She's just talking about the Ukrainian oligarchs and the people who just wrote stuff like Trump is bad, blah, blah, blah. We're not talking about the efforts to actually get dirt from the Ukrainians that on Paul Manafort. She don't want to bring that up. See, she don't want to talk about those type of interferences. No, we're going to go ahead and downplay these people doing these op-eds and say, well, it's not equal to the Russians and what they tried to do, which in my opinion was nothing new. They've always done what they did. Now, a little couple ads on Facebook. All right, you telling me those ads swayed people watching one of them? I don't even know what the ads were. They just said they ran ads. Show me which ones so I can be the judge. Whether if I watched it or not, I would be like, I will now vote for Hillary Clinton because, these ads couldn't have been that mind-boggling to where it swayed the election. So anyway, with that being said, she opens up dropping the seed in everybody's head that these are conspiracy theories, okay? You can always tell in the tone of the voice when she starts off the narrative that they want to set, the audience that they want to deter from speaking and believing these things, these conspiracy theories. Let's continue.
Here is what the FBI director, Chris Wray, said yesterday about this conspiracy theory. Actually, on December 9th, about this conspiracy theory.
Chris Wray.
We have no information that indicates that Ukraine interfered with the 2016 presidential election. I think it's...
Now, here's the thing. Christopher Wray, I don't think is even looking. I think this man got the job and said, look, just let me be. Don't make me do stuff. I'm just here for the ride. Man, I don't want no extra problems. I don't want anything to come out to make the FBI look worse than it already is. When in reality, the man should be going through exposing all of it so everybody would have trust in the FBI, because now you see that he is serious about corruption and he's cleaned it out. Because right now I don't trust him. Right now I don't trust him. They better not pull me over. I don't want them showing up at my house talking about, we need to talk to you about it. Don't get out of my face, because I've seen y'all let everybody else slide through the system. Now you want to hold me accountable? Please. So anyway, let's continue.
Important for the American people to be thoughtful consumers of information, to think about the sources of it.
Okay, the FBI says that it wasn't Ukraine. But Brian, here's the part that I think is interesting. Yeah. He says, I think it's important for the American people to be thoughtful consumers of information.
Right.
Yes,
now,
of course it is.
Here's the crazy part about that statement. Notice she didn't play the whole clip, the lead in, the things that could have gone on where they said, well, how do you think the American people should get their information? Do you think that if they receive it from bad sources, it could sway them? And he might have been like, yeah, I mean, I think that the American people should be thoughtful about what it. So they might take that clip and make it seem as if he was addressing that Trump and all of his surrogates are not credible sources, and we should be more conscious of where we get our information. You see how they piece it together and try to string together a narrative? Let's continue.
Thinking. However, he's saying that it's going to be up to voters and the people to determine the truth, because we can't count on our leaders to give us the real information.
Here's the flip side, because what we're witnessing right here is full-blown, real-time, modern propaganda. See how she set it up? She's trying to distance her organization and their narratives from all of the counter narratives by saying or suggesting that these are not credible sources. Okay, we are. Okay, yes, those leaders and the right wing conspirators, they're not reliable sources. CNN is. Now wait till after this. We're going to hear a montage of all their lies, and you make the determination. Here's Brian Stelter, though. Little Brian Stelter. Let's hear him. Come on, play.
That's at the heart of the problem is digital age. And this is something that predates Trump, and it's getting worse in the Trump years. We are expected now in this Facebook and Twitter world to go and figure out the truth ourselves. It's all been laid at our own hands. And that's incredibly empowering sometimes and democratizing. It's also incredibly difficult and incredibly stressful for tens of millions of people who don't know what to believe. And Ray is right. But unfortunately, as long as there's a president who's leading a misinformation campaign to confuse the public.
Now, we're talking about the station with little Brian Stelter that is the kings and queens of disinformation. How many acts of disinformation have we witnessed from CNN in the last 3.5 years or so, starting with him coming down the escalator, and he talked about the Mexicans that are bringing drugs, rapists, and violence and all of that stuff. And then when I turned on CNN that night, they're like, Donald Trump calls all immigrants rapists, drug dealers, and murderers. And I'm like, well, wait just the minute. That's not what I witnessed when I watched it real time and saw it with my own eyes and my own ears. Now, you trying to tell me that my eyes and ears was lying to me? That's what you're doing? Starting that day was the day I woke up to the propaganda of all of these very, very liberal networks right here. And it continues. Right now, the full-blown campaign is being launched to silence voices like mine on YouTube, Twitter, all of these things. If they could have their way, the hall monitor right there, the eunuch would go to they're over there, and you know what? They got the elevator key, and they're not even hurt. They're not supposed to be riding the elevator. And look, do you have a hall pass? I'm going to write you up. That guy right there will tell on all of us and have us off the air because they want the narrative to come from them. They're the only reliable source. CNN, the most untrusted name in news. Let's continue with this garbage.
We're going to have these problems. And people like Sean Hannity are a outgrowth of that fundamental core problem. I'm glad Ray is identifying it correctly, and it's incredible.
And you know what's crazy about this? The CNN actors on here, that's just what they are. They look like they're acting. The other day when Don Lemon was mad after the Thanos thing, Trump snapped his fingers, this guy's reaction looked just like they said, and action. Really? It's this we're at. I can't believe I'm even reporting. This is, and I'm looking at him like, dude, who wrote that script for you? Looking at little Brian Stelter, it's obvious that this dude don't even believe the crap that's coming out of his mouth, along with Katie, who set it all up too. Gave him the lead in. All right, before we go live, let's rehearse it again. All right, and action. And then Brian, yes, apparently that Sean Hannity and the rest of all of that stuff. That right there is a big skit we're watching. That's what we're listening to right now. But let's listen. Let's hear it out.
Basically saying, don't believe right-wing media. This is the Trump-appointed FBI director saying, don't believe Trump's friends.
Now, that's not what he said. That is not what he said right there. And that is propaganda at its best. But yet we're supposed to trust this dude in that network, right? The same network that Project Veritas exposed for being corrupt and saying, all right, we want to focus on impeachment. I don't care. What happened? A busload of orphans went off a cliff. So what? We stay on impeachment. What happened? What? China and Japan is at war. We ain't got time to cover that. We got to focus on impeachment. So this is the same man that's trying to get us to believe that CNN means us well. It's not propaganda. They trust it. They're non-biased. All of that garbage. Let's continue to listen, though.
You and I talk about this all the time. It's about news literacy, and you have to know the difference between a real journalist, a real news program, and somebody who is just helping.
Holy moly, did y'all hear that? That is why everybody has been red-pilled because of CNN and MSNBC. They helped. They contributed to the red pill movement. They contributed to the eyes of many being open. They're going to contribute to Donald Trump winning in 2020 because it's become so overwhelmingly obvious that they're biased in their propaganda stations that their ratings said, yeah. They didn't even have one of those crashes where you just kind of coast down on fire. No, it was like straight down. That's how their ratings are falling because people recognize fiction when we see it. And she's talking about you got to be able to decide the difference. See, I know the difference between propaganda and real news. I know the difference between you acting and somebody who's sincerely passionate about the well-being of the country. When Sean Hannity talks, this man's passionate about this. Plus, the things that he's saying and pointing out, I can actually see. I can actually go and find it. But this stuff right here is garbage. They're just pulling stuff out their butts. Let's listen to the rest.
A story, and that's where we are right now.
It's just getting harder and harder out there every day, and
for us to
I
continue
feel
lying.
for the folks out there who don't want to have to invest all day long to know what is true and what is not.
So we're supposed to listen to them. Now here's the montage. Okay, give it to us, Trump.
Come over and see the fake news. Let's go.
He said, "Let's go."
Breaking news.
A
Here we
bombshell.
go.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
Turning point.
We're at a turning point.
Now I want y'all to imagine. Here you are trusting what little Brian Stelter said and CNN. You come home from a hard day working on a jackhammer, or you out in the fields plowing and stuff, sweating. Come in, crack open a nice cold Coca-Cola. Sit back, let's see what's on the boob tube, snap on CNN and the rest of these jokers, and you hear this. Imagine if you had the puppy brain, the bubble head, you would be scared. Here's my reaction.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
The beginning of the end.
And breaking news.
We have another bombshell.
Mike Pence might have to assume the office of the presidency.
This is
The
in
call for
2017.
impeachment.
Rumblings of the word impeachment.
Breaking news.
Another bombshell out of the White
Bombshell.
House.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
Maybe feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him. Breaking news. A new
Breaking
bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end
Beginning
for President Donald
of
Trump.
the end?
Beginning of the
Astrology?
end of the Trump presidency. Trump will resign.
Trump
Is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over
You think this is a tipping point?
and over and over.
This is a
Now you understand this 2017 and all of these montages and over and over. Of course you said it over and over again. Why do you think nobody trusts you? You said it about Russia. You said it about every single thing that they come up with every day. Everything's breaking news. Let me tell you something. If everything's a problem, nothing's a problem. The problem with them is they don't determine what's the difference between big problem and little problem. They just lump it all together. Trump almost killed all the fish in Japan, even though that was a lie. But that's a big problem. Trump tweeted a meme of Thanos. That's a big. Trump tweeted a meme of the dog with the put the thing around the dog, and the dog wasn't even there. It wasn't even. Those are big problems to them. These are bombshells every day. So now we're supposed to trust that all of these horrific things are happening in the Trump administration. Let's continue. This is only 2017. We ain't even got to 18 yet.
Tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
Beginning
It
again?
reminds me a lot of the last days of Nixon.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
How many beginnings?
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in. The walls closing in.
The walls closing.
Dang on it. If the walls ain't smashed him yet, then maybe they ain't closing. That's all I'm saying. If this is the beginning of the end, how many restarts do you get? Okay? I mean, come on now. At some point, the end got to come. They said it's the beginning of the end starting late 2016, and they still rocking that same statement. Matter of fact, they need to put a beat under this because all they're doing is looping tracks.
Overnight bombshell.
This is a very dramatic day, and I think it might be near a tipping point. Do you think this is a tipping point?
This is unbelievable. This is remarkable. Have you ever seen anything like this?
His presidency is crippled.
December 1st, 2017, you can mark it down. This is the day that everything changed.
We begin with the bombshell.
The beginning of the end?
The beginning of the end.
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 The
beginning of the end. In fact, if this were a football game,
beginning of
We're in
the
the third
end.
quarter. May even be the beginning of the end.
We begin tonight with the bombshell. Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble.
Trump is in trouble.
The president will resign.
Another hour, another bombshell.
This is a tipping point. Trump's going down.
This president could be impeached.
I do not think the president will serve out his term.
Resignation.
Tight eyes,
Resignation.
creepy
I don't think
porn
this
lawyer.
president is going to serve out his term. Mr. Trump will not serve out his term. He will not serve out his term.
On
No
CNN.
way. No how.
Breaking news.
An absolute bombshell. I think
Donald
Donald Trump
Trump
is in trouble.
Donald Trump is not. He's
Donald
done.
Trump is in trouble.
And it's over. It's over.
The walls closing
The
in.
walls closing in.
Again?
This is going to be the Achilles heel. Breaking news tonight. I expect Trump to depart. This week will be the watershed
This one?
week. Trump is in big trouble.
Trump's in a lot of trouble.
It's the sign of a terrified old man who feels the
Walls
closing in. The walls
are increasingly
Closing in on him.
tonight. The walls
are closing in.
today
Get out of
changed
here.
everything. This is the beginning of the end.
This is
Today,
the
the biggest
beginning.
tipping point for the Trump administration.
What a historic day. The bombshells, they fell.
It's entropy and it's crumbling internally.
He's underwater. He feels the walls closing in.
Could his testimony be a turning point?
We may be at a tipping point.
It's the beginning of
The end.
The beginning
Of the end?
Another bombshell.
bombshell.
Bombshell, bombshell.
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 Bombshell. This is a bombshell. It is a bombshell.
I am beginning to resent the word bombshell.
Bombshell.
I never worked for Russia, and you know that answer better than anybody. I never worked for Russia. Not only did I never work for Russia, I think it's a disgrace that you even asked that question because it's a whole big fat hoax.
Thank you.
It's just a hoax.
As long
And
as it's a
you wonder-
president who's leading a
And you wonder why we call them fake news being the enemy of the people. After hearing that long montage of them barking for 2.5 years, beginning of the end, bombshell, bombshell, breaking news, bombshell. This is the beginning of the Trump will resign. Trump, oh, the walls are closed. Wrong. All of that garbage only to conclude nothing. He's still there. I thought he would have been mashed between the walls by now. They've been closing in for 2.5 years. Who built these walls? Why ain't they closing faster? I mean, these some slow closing walls if they're closing in. And how long does it take the bomb to drop? Where's the gap band? You dropped the bomb on me. Baby. The bomb should have dropped. If America had that type of bomb in its arsenal, we would suck as a military. How long would this bomb take to drop on Baghdad? 72 years? Okay. We'll wait it out. That's their bomb. They've been dropping this bomb now for 3.5 years. And I'm still going, I hear all of the whistling from coming out of their mouths, but I don't see the bomb dropping. So, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't let Brian Stelter and fake news CNN get away with this. Now this video could cost me. I told y'all, YouTube done changed up some things and I got to be very careful. So, just in case I disappear, first of all, revenge my death. Secondly, come find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on my radio blog talk show for now. I do that 7:30 every Wednesday night, and I also go live on YouTube and on Facebook until further notice. All right. Also, hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, and the notification button. Make sure you still subscribe. Make sure your notifications are set to all. And then finally, if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link in the bottom. And check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. Love their products. If you buy something, put my name in the promo code. The link is in the bottom. Put Kevin in the promo code. You get a 20% discount. Right now, you get free shipping too. And I think I covered everything else. There you go. All right. God bless you all next time in Kevin's Corner.